Hello, welcome back to part 3. So I've left it a day now, so this isn't completely dry, but it's dry enough for me to carry on working on it. I've just stuck a couple of stones on here just to give another bit of a feature. What's the word I'm looking for? Detail. So now what I'm going to do is again now go over it all with more cement and building it up, filling it in around it, and kind of doing a bit of detail work. So what I will first do, I suppose, is I should probably make it thin and go over it like a wash over all of the bits of bark. So I'll just add some more water to there. So it's really kind of runny. And then with a paintbrush, I'm just gonna, if I can, I don't know how well this is gonna work, sticks more to the paintbrush than the actual. Yeah, it's not gonna work with that paintbrush at all. Okay, we'll try spooning it on like we did. Maybe if I get a softer paintbrush, maybe do a little bit more detail. I'll just find another paintbrush. Okay, so I've got a softer, smaller paintbrush now. Let's bring the camera a little bit closer. I'm hoping this mic is working today. It's all switched on, so it should be. So I'm just basically covering the bark with a very thin layer. If this doesn't work, then I'll just leave it and just paint straight over the bark. I'll add glue into the paint anyway to kind of seal it. But I'm going to just paint it on like that, and then just with a soft brush, just kind of wipe it off. And then afterwards we'll go in and we'll fill in gaps and things. This is just to basically coat the bark and a little bit of this. I put some glue into the mix as well, just to help bind it a bit. See what we can do in here. This just makes it a little bit easier when you're kind of trying to basically carve out and sculpt the rocks. If it's all kind of the same colour, you can kind of, it's a little bit easier to do. That's the only real reason for doing this, not just painting over them. Because I need to kind of link the bits of bark now into the actual kind of structure. So just by doing this, it kind of makes it so you can not, when you can't see its bark, you can actually just see it as kind of lumps of hopefully what looks like rock. Then we can work on with a palette knife, filling in the gaps and stuff and try and make it a bit more realistic looking. And even paint over these just so that, again, to the same colour. This one here. Okay, so now we have it all painted over. I do have some bits of imitation rock that I made before. It's just out of like air dry clay that you cook in the oven. You kind of bake it, so you could always stick bits of that on it if I wanted to, just to create even more detail. That piece I could maybe stick on there. We'll just stick it on there. Just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to add some more cement to this to thicken it up. Okay, we'll see how that goes. And now it's just a matter of doing a bit of blending in. Yeah, better need brown glasses for this. Just to try and create the illusion of rocks and crevices and things. The bottom of it, I'm not too worried about because it will be obviously sitting in soil. what you got to try and kind of do is put it on now, and then when it's almost dry, then you kind of go around and do a bit of sculpting on it as well, scraping out bits and stuff. But like that, I'll show you that bit when I come round to it. Okay. Bit of a hole here, we'll just fill that in. Okay, so that kind of looks a bit like a rocky outcrop. We'll have a look at the above it now. We have this crack in here, probably fill in a little bit. I may plant a tree on top and have a root coming down here through this slot. That's why I kind of left like little slots and things like that. Just build out this side a bit. Bit in here just to kind of break that line up there. Okay, now at the top here we need to do a little bit just to get this to kind of marry in with this rock on the top. There's a bit back here need filling in. When I finish this, I'll leave it. Well, what I'll do now is I'll leave it dry for a day or so, and then maybe come in and do a little bit of scratching here and there, just adding a little bit more detail, and then I'll leave it dry completely for as long as it takes. Because the weather's so bad now, it might take longer than normal, but make sure it's fully dry before we start painting it. Take off any bit, if you see it kind of rolling, just take off that so you don't have it kind of rolls like cement would roll, like here. Get rid of that. Okay, so that side doesn't look too bad now. And they're looking quite good. All the detail will be brought out with the painting part. So we'll move over to This bit here, just fill that in. And you don't have to use the bark. I could have just built it up, but I just said I'd try using the bark, see how it looks. And when it's kind of almost dry and I come back to scraping, I'll give the bark another bit of a rub, just to try and get a bit more of the detail out. You need to put something on here just to create a bit of a lip or something. Okay, so I'll pause the video while I keep going, and then we'll come back and have a look at it when it's more done. Okay, so I'm getting close to finished now. I've stuck another rock in here, one of the imitation rocks, just to kind of give it a little bit of detail under there. I'm just trying to scratch that a bit to give it a bit of texture. On the top here, trying to create boulders and things. We will, like I said, add texture on, and when I paint it, that's when it'll really show up the details and the different textures and things, and bring it all together. Okay, so where's my little soft brush? Let's see if I can just take off a little bit of the be honest, I'm not that worried. I don't want it back looking too much barky. I want it to look like rocks. If you make it kind of a little bit thick, almost Play-Doh-y, you can kind of mold it in places. Just gently rub over it now. We'll get rid of any kind of loose bits or scratch marks from the tools. It'll just give it a kind of a slightly rough looking. I'll leave this until it's a bit more drier to do this, but I'll just go over it now, and we can always go again if we need to. Just very gently, so we don't knock anything. Just rub it all. That way you'll get kind of coarser finish on it, which the highlights and that from the paint will pick up. Don't want to do it too hard or you'll end up just smoothing it out. You want to still keep the shapes and the sharp edges if you can, but you just want to get rid of all these kind of bits that are kicking about and bits that are marks from the little palette knife. See here, it's all quite smooth. It's quite thin here. I'll probably, well, this will be all covered in with soil anyway, so I'm not too worried about here. All that under there, a little rub. Okay, I think we're pretty good with that. Don't look quite rocky. Like that when we paint it, we bring out the detail. The way I'll paint it is kind of like I've done these, maybe a bit lighter. I painted these, and you can see kind of they look like rocks then. But I might do them a bit lighter, more this kind of colour. So yeah, and then maybe just add some like sand, something like this black sand into some of the crevices just to add more detail. And then we'll leave it dry for probably a couple of weeks because of the way the weather is now. A bit of bark kind of sticking out here, so we'll just stick another bit on there. Yeah, we'll just blend that in a bit. Okay, so I think that'll be it for part 3. Now is it 3? Yeah. That's it for part 3. We'll leave it now maybe a day or two to dry, and we'll have a look at it and see how it looks. And like that, if I need to do any touch-ups or anything, I'll do it preferably before it dries completely, and then I'll leave it for as long as it takes for it to dry completely. And then it shouldn't take too long because it is only thin. It's only thin coating in most places, so it shouldn't take too long to dry, but we'll just make sure it's fully dry before we start the process of painting it on. Okay, so hopefully the mic worked this time. Yeah, so don't forget to subscribe and all that stuff, and maybe hit the notification bell just so you don't miss when the next videos come up of this. I might end up doing 1 or 2 videos in between before I come back to this, but I will be coming back to it at some stage. Hopefully my trees and my pot gets here soon so we can check it out. So as always guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one.